All right, good morning, everybody. Today is January 25th. We are calling to order the Green Valley Special Utility District's meeting. Time is 9 o'clock. We are establishing a quorum. All board of directors are present. We'll go to agenda item B, invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask your blessing over the Green Valley Utility District, the customers, the ratepayers, the employees, and the board, and our partners. Please give us the words of wisdom, the knowledge of truth, and the information needed to put this company in the right direction. In your name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, agenda item C, public comment. I received the list. Currently, no public comment is needed. We've asked one more time just to make sure, and we verified. Okay, moving on to agenda item D, consent agenda. All items listed below are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the board and will be approved by one motion. There will be no discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which case the items will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered and action taken as necessary as part of the order of business. Okay, so we have December 14th, 2023 board meeting minutes, December 20th, 2023 special called board meeting minutes, January 8th, 2024 special called board meeting minutes, November 30th, 2023 balance sheet, November 30th, 2023 cash investment report, statement of account balances until audited, November 30th, 2023 check detail, November 30th, 2023 financial report, December 31st balance sheet, December 31st, 2023 cash investment report, statement of account balances until audited, December 31st, 2023 check detail, December 31st, 2023 financial report until audited. Does anybody request to take any of those items out?
I have one comment on the December 30th financial report, if we can pull that one.
December 30th,
31st.
31st?
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I saw November 30th, sorry. Okay,
And then, if there's no others, I'll make a motion that we approve consent agenda items D1 through 10 as presented.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Sherman for D1 through 10. I have a second by Mr. Robertson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
And on the financial report for December 31st, there were a few items that on the report, it seemed to numbers didn't equate as you went across the row. Now I'm going to grab one, water plant maintenance. I'm on a couple sheets before the end of D1. Go to E. Let's see. I'm just going to grab one, water plant maintenance. Year to date is 69,000, budgeted 80,000, but budget versus actual, we have a negative 97,000 shown. There were just a couple like that I think maybe the spreadsheet had a little gremlin in it or something. Just take a look. There's nothing earth shaking, at this point in the year. We can capture it next year. But just take a look at your Excel spreadsheet, please. That's my only comment.
Okay, does anybody else have any comments, concerns on the item D11? Nope. Okay, do I have a motion for D11?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. King, and do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Robertson. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion passed unanimously. All right, at this time, for the sake of time and importance, we are going to go into executive session to address items N and R. We're going to executive session, closed session in accordance with Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 551.074 and or 551.076 on matters upon which the attorney has the duty to report under Texas rules and disciplinary conduct. Items N, which is discuss financial auditors and take action if necessary. And item R, consider mediated settlement agreement with the city of Cibolo and take action as necessary. At this time, it's 9:05. We are going into executive session.
Returning back to open session, the time now is 10 a.m.
Go ahead and Ms. McDaniel, we're going to go ahead and consider item R out of executive session. And just for the record, Mr. Frias and Mr. Sherman have recused themselves from consideration of this. So you agreed to take the chair in their temporary absence.
So for executive session R, consider mediation settlement agreement with City of Cibolo and take action as necessary. Texas Government Code Section 551.071. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the mediated settlement agreement with the city of Cibolo as presented.
I'll second.
So a motion has been presented and then by Mr. Cooper and then seconded by Mr. Robertson. Do a roll call?
Yes. Say
Yes.
their name. You have to say their name.
Oh,
Oh, my name first?
yep. Mr. King?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Hendricks?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Robertson?
Aye.
Aye. And you
I
need,
did.
Sherry, you need a vote.
I did. Five. I did say aye.
Okay.
So we have 5. Motion carries.
I vote with 2 abstains.
Okay, moving on to agenda item E, hear updates from the following items from GVSUD General Manager or Acting General Manager, staff and committee chairs, and take action as necessary. E1, Business Operations, Acting General Manager, updates Philip D. Francesco.
Good morning. All the board members should have the memo. I do want to give some updates from the date of drafting this memo. We have hired a customer service rep to fill that vacancy. We are still in the process of interviewing for utility technicians. Regarding the broker RFQ, staff did choose SVN Traditions out of New Braunfels to represent us for the sale of the former headquarters and office building. We did receive an qualifications for the RFQ for a culture and climate survey, which is in the memo. And then I am still working on the RFQ for engineering services.
Philip, on the broker RFQ, their scope was to establish a value, correct? We haven't made any action.
Right, we're gonna get an appraisal on it.
And for those of you on the facilities committee too, he did pass that information on to me also yesterday. And to facilitate the move forward, I passed that on to Mr. Garman at the county. So he was going to reach out to that agent to help us move that forward.
Okay, thank you. Number 2, E2, Operations Report and Updates, Pam.
Okay, and you'll have both months, November and December. And then for the annual report, I did more of a memo this year instead of another graph. Something I'll also adapt towards when we do our monthly. I don't know if there's any changes I'd like to see different on there, if it's too much information, not enough information.
No, I personally appreciated the memo. Explained a lot of good information that I like to at least be aware about. And then obviously the graphs side by side actually helps kind of understanding the differences month over month. Does any other board members have any questions?
I had one question.
Sure.
The November and the December operations report, both on the sewer flow, they were both exactly the same. Is that accurate, or did that one get transferred?
I apologize. I redid one of the reports and I did not change and I apologize for that. I'll
No, that's no
update that.
That's one of the things that I'd ask for, and I look specifically at. I can't imagine one skyrocketed in a month.
There was not much difference in them, maybe a point here or there, but nothing,
Okay.
nothing major.
And then on the available water right chart that I also just love, we're still working off of the 2021 number. Can we update that
I asked Gary about that. And he's currently working on the master plan. And he says once he has that completed, then he'll update the water, our water availability. Just for the fact if he does it now, it could also change again once he finishes that. So instead of doing double work, we'll just have it all together.
good discussion at both CRWA and ARWA for our, larger supply projects,
Mhm.
knowing where we are in 2024, or maybe we would go off of 23 numbers with projections.
Right. And a lot of that'll have to also do with meter sets, our growth, if that changes any. So that's going to do some adjustments on those too, as far as projected when we'll be, how the water hits our system and how much we have for how long.
Questions, comments, concerns? Good. Thank you, Pam. All right, agenda item E3, CRWA Board of Trustees post-meeting updates, Mr. Cooper and Mr. Sherman.
Me first. So the January 8th meeting, was kind of I'll say there was much debate among the directors. The biggest item that we discussed was the Hayes Caldwell Group. There's an ongoing dispute with their contract. 3 parties of the 4 disagree with one party. There was extended debate. There was legal counsel from both sides there. There was a resolution put forward by the 3 parties that after extended discussion, the CRWA board as a whole voted it down. But those 4 parties during the discussion seemed to be moving towards resolution. So the action was those 4 were going to go back and try to work it out amongst themselves again. The concern for CRWA as a whole and Green Valley is that if they get into litigation, it's going to draw CRWA into the dispute somehow, which would ultimately be costs that Green Valley pays a portion of up the line. Another highlight was Steve was nominated to the search committee for the general manager. Mr. Kaufman retired some time ago, or a couple weeks ago. So we're in search of a new general manager, and Steve's on the search committee. And I was also appointed to the construction committee for CRW. Anything to add on CRWA?
Yeah, Mr. Randy Shine was named temporary general manager. He is the acting general manager at East Central. And Mr. Kaufman will act in a supportive role until permanent replacement is found. But CRWA is in more than capable hands.
And Mr. Frias, I have one related to CRWA note. I attended virtually the ARWA, which is the conglomerate above CRWA that supplies water. Their meeting yesterday, there was a segment C construction project that I was interested to hear how it went. There was 6 contractors that bid. The estimate was $60 million. The low bid was $66 million. The board approved, the ARWA board approved a resolution to accept the scoring matrix. So basically they locked in with the low bid, the contractor. It wasn't a low bid, it was a best value where they have a scoring matrix. So they locked in with a contractor, but they're going to try to value engineer it down to get closer to the money, so that we don't run over and then eventually come back to us for more money as we've done in the past. So that was good. And the board also approved a $4.9 million inspection agreement, construction inspection agreement with Pape Dawson for the work tied to segment C. They also had a rate study presented by Mr. Eckert with, who's he with? NewGen, same guy that we've had at ours and CRWA has used. It makes sense, but I hadn't considered it. This was to establish a rate for the water actually delivered. So all the monies that we've seen, the numbers that we've been seeing are capital, construction only. So that they're establishing a rate for the water delivered that we will ultimately pay. So while it makes sense, we have to pay for the actual water delivered. I hadn't considered that yet. Those were the highlights from the ARWA meeting.
Awesome. Thank you for the updates on that. Okay, moving on to E.
Mr. Sherman, and sorry, Mr.
Maybe.
Frias, just wanted to assure you all that the Hayes Caldwell Group is serious about solving that problem and that they are meeting this morning. My partner, Mr. Terrell, is with the group up at Maxwell's headquarters, and hopefully I have something positive to report to you.
And that's a good point. Mr. Terrell was there representing one of the parties, and I was in complete agreement with him. Take that, as you will, but I was in complete agreement with what he was saying and speaking directly to the terms of the contract. So it's good to hear that things seem to be moving forward.
So Shan, do you think by February's meeting, we should have an update on that one? Okay.
Yes, we should have an update. I could have an update this afternoon, but I will update you just as soon as I hear anything on that. I won't wait for another CRWA meeting before reporting back to you on that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to E4, the housing forecast 2024 San Antonio and surrounding area update. So this is something I wanted to put on the agenda. Last year, I was able to, kind of give a brief update as to what last year's looked like from Zonda, who was also the presenter at the JW Marriott housing forecast for this year. I invited Philip and Gabe to also come with me to learn and educate themselves as to what the analysts are saying about our area growth-wise. So that information's in the packet. I know the packet's posted up on the website. But to kind of go over some of my notes that I had, high level, I'm not going to go through every page, but there is some good information in there about our current community area and the growth that's happening. So real quick, time is of the essence. In 2023, there was about 13,700 starts for the San Antonio area. It's down 40% from 2022. 2024's projection is estimated at 15,000 plus or minus 1,000. So there is going to be a sharp increase from year over year going into this year into 2025. What else? See, they talked about the national level, but also they talked about the San Antonio and the San Antonio parts. Right now, San Antonio is ranked 8th in the nation as far as housing starts. And they did bring up New Braunfels and Seguin's growth as well. Let's see, the heat maps show exactly kind of more or less what city right now is hot. Obviously, south side of Schertz, I-10 area, 1518, which is in our area, service area by St. Hedwig. That shows a lot of areas. And then Marion in the ETJs with the MUDs. Comments were made about how MUDs in Guadalupe County are going to be something to be paying attention to as far as growth is concerned. What else? Talked about the developed lots, vacant developed lot inventory is going to become an issue because if the interest rates from the Fed drop this year before the election cycle, housing will kick up even more. So the inventory of lots available is something to keep mindful of. I know our engineers are tracking what properties are actually primed, ready to go for growth. Let's see, 46% of the starts are averaging as far as home sale prices in the 250,000 to 300,000 level. So that kind of gives you an idea of the types of homes that are currently in the market that are actually being bought and used. There's a 7th-month home supply currently right now. And the San Antonio area will see that shrink once the feds go down. and people start buying homes again. At the very back, there were some comments about how kind of their last thoughts, their final thoughts. See, employment growth for our area is very slow because pretty much everybody has a job. I think unemployment rate for our area is 3% from what they were talking about. So one of the things that they were very keen on saying is now that I guess the way the market is currently, we need to be preparing for the uptick and having that future foresight as to strategic planning on our end so that we're ready for it and not behind the curve. So that's real quick, the skinny on that stuff. I'm going to end it there. If you had any questions or comments, pull me off to the side and we can talk about it some more. But I at least wanted to make sure you guys had some information from what we got shown. Okay, so moving to E5, Board of Directors Committee update meetings. Facility Committee, Mr. Hendricks.
Good morning. We had a facilities meeting on the 8th of January at noon. All three of us were there, myself, Mr. Robertson, and Mr. Frias. It was kind of general discussion. Marion would like to have their city council meetings here, so that's going to be something that the board is going to have to talk about because it is going to be after normal hours of any GVSUD employees. That's going to be, we're going to have to work that out. The county would like to use the facility for elections on the 5th of March from 07 to 7 p.m. We tentatively approved it. Don't think the board gave us some leeway before. It's just going to be that one day. They do want to use it in the future. However, we're going to have to balance it with operations here, and that's going to be something the board's going to have to decide if they want to use it going forward, especially with they need to use it because across the street is where they normally have their elections for this area, and the church is undergoing some renovations, so they can't provide the floor space needed. The only thing that was kind of brought up was in the future, and I think it was brought up by me, in the future, if county elections are going to happen, it is a long event, especially this is going to be an election year coming up. So we need to kind of have that in mind if they ask to use a facility again, because early elections, we're talking weeks, they could be in here using our facility. So hopefully the church over there will be ready for them.
So real quick, let me kind of touch base on the approval. So the approval was at the facility committee to make recommendation to the board for board action as to that one day. That is during our operations. Because we're still working on a policy, a facilities policy, that's still going to take a few more months. My suggestion to the chair of the committee was to take things on as a per request basis. And then if it fits within the scope of what we can accommodate for the public, then we can accommodate at the discretion of the board for right now until we get a full policy in place. So this is their request was on March 5th from 7 to 7. Philip has been briefed on it. He's okay with it from what he told the facility committee. This is a one-time thing as of right now. So to accommodate and help the county, the facility committee was okay with it, but we still want the board to approve that one as a whole for that one day and that one case only until we get a full policy in place. And if requests do come, we're trying to get the facility policy as fast as we can to accommodate any other requests. But again, this is a time sensitive. They need to know yes or no for the boardroom only. They will not be able to go anywhere else. They have their own staff to come in and they will not be eating into our employees' time and attention. So
Only thing I'd like to make a minor point to is the time window. That specific day, they will deliver the voting machines secured the day before. They probably, if they're like San Antonio and they want to be in here by 6 a.m. to begin setup to open for voting at 7. And it usually takes them an hour or an hour and a half to clear out after the polls close. So it would be a little longer than the 7 to 7.
again, Philip
Oh, yeah.
briefed that he was okay with
Yeah.
that, handling that one day.
Yeah.
So But again,
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Sherry and I discovered that during this last election cycle at the fire station. We were there a few days early, and here come the machines, and they were banging on the door, looking for somebody to open them up. It's not 7 to 7. It's gonna be a little bit more. But it's something we absolutely need a policy on because
Yeah.
Philip will likely have to, adjust schedules to where someone comes in early, someone comes in later and stays later. But need a policy on cost of,
usage of the building and time, right? Well, again, that's why we wanted to bring it to a vote. The facility committee was okay for that one day for right now. We're not entertaining everybody, pushing, like, for instance, City of Marion. We're not doing anything like that right now until we get a facilities policy in place. But because their request was time sensitive, we do need to brief the board. So, if you,
Yeah, that was another thing. We'll also need clarification. Does the board want to come up with this building policy, or do they want the facilities committee to come up with it, or do they want bylaws committee to come up with the policy? Because we need something functional, is like what our minimum rate would be.
work on it.
Yeah, have
So
a
the
committee work
would
on it and then send it to the board.
Present it to the board approves it.
So which committee do we want? Do we want facilities to do it and then present it? Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. That's
Think
what I
so.
need to know. Okay.
Produce some real numbers of what it's gonna cost and what.
Right, and that's for the committee to work on.
So we'll have that for our next meeting. I'll get with Philip and we can get some numbers and then.
What are we doing about insurance liability waivers?
That's another thing for the facility committee. They're gonna use our building.
It's gonna be in the policy for that day, though. I would imagine, Philip, if you can request that the county, have all their documents in line.
We'll coordinate that with the county.
And this is probably a Shan question. I assume all that would be in the standard contract of renting, quote unquote, this area. That would be standard legal language that if they do damage, they're paying for it. And if they get hurt, it's their own fault, not our fault kind of language.
It should be. I have not seen one of those contracts in several years. So as soon as it comes in, I'm happy to turn it around real quickly and make sure.
I'll steal what Shirts has because Shirts has their facilities they rent out. I'll steal what theirs has because it could probably be a really good baseline for what ours would look like because they do it all the time
But
in
to
their
Mr.
facility.
Cooper's point, when we do vote on something like this, do we have it with contingent that they provide all the necessary documents to protect our facility? I mean,
And we should also have our own.
we should, yes. So Philip, if you can look into that one as well. We need to take action because.
Oh, on that one. Yeah, on that one. Yep. We'll do that. So, and another thing we're bringing up, should the lots next door be sold as one or two lots together? But that's probably going to come with the broker that just got finalized for next door. They'll probably make that decision for us, or at least tell us what our options would be. At the time I wrote this, we did not have the broker selected yet, so. All right, so I'll put a motion that the board approves the county using our facility on the 5th of March from approximately 07 to approximately 1900, give or take, and probably the day prior to store their equipment.
Point of order, which item number is that on our agenda?
See,
So 5I, under the facilities committee,
yeah, take action as needed.
Yeah, it's fine. It's properly noticed.
Thank you.
sorry, do you want to add the stipulation for all proper insurance coverages and that sort of thing that?
Oh, of course, yeah, we can, thinking the same thing. Per proper liability and insurance on our side and their side. I don't know how to verbalize that into a motion.
that's all you have to say is that.
Say it like that. Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Hendricks. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Mr. Robertson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose, nay.
Okay, so we have 6-1. Okay, 5II, Investment Committee update, Mr. King.
Yeah, we met as a committee on the 9th. The minutes are in the packet. The focus of this committee is to maximize the interest income on our cash accounts. and minimize the low interest rate account. So we're continuing to work on that. There's still, I think, a little bit of options for higher returns on that. So we're going to keep working on that and looking at it. And that's really all we have from the committee. We're going to meet again in April.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving to agenda item F, here presentation review report from auditor on Green Valley Special Utility District fiscal year 2022 and 2023 annual audit and take action as necessary. Brooks, Watson and Co. PLLC.
Good morning. I met many of you this morning, but my name is Louis Breedlove, Senior Audit Manager at Brooks Watson. I've had the pleasure of working with the district. This is our first year doing the audit. And the purpose of me being here this morning is to give you an update. The draft that you have available is a draft. We're in the process of making the final steps to get that wrapped up and have that updated for you all to approve soon. But did want to give you an update on what we've done so far. So we do this for all of our clients, but digging even deeper our first year and evaluating all the processes that are going on here. So anywhere money's coming in or money's going out, we're evaluating the processes there. So we sit down with the folks in each of those departments, walk through how those things work, look at any policies and processes they have documented. And then we sample test those areas such as payroll, the utility billing, disbursements, inventory, and we're sample testing those areas to ensure that what we see in practice is consistent with what has been communicated to us from policies, procedures, and what have you. And as we're evaluating those, we'll make any recommendations as applicable for potential improvements and changes that may be helpful for the district. As we're doing the audit, we're performing our testing and procedures over the balance sheet and tying out and performing cutoff procedures as necessary, confirming with third party everywhere possible, all bank accounts, debt, anywhere where there's a third party involved, we're confirming those balances to ensure that y'all's balance sheet is materially accurate and presented fairly. And then we're sample testing and performing revenue and expenses testing throughout the income statement. As it stands, the draft is, I would say, near close to final. There could be potential changes to it, which is why I didn't want to present any numbers on a screen in case something did change. But district looks like they're in good shape. And I know there's a lot in this report to review and read and consider. Fairly consistent with prior year in terms of the type of information that's in there. But in the front, there's a management discussion and analysis, which is going to give you some year-to-year comparison and some high-level insight onto some of the changes that have occurred. Behind that is going to be your financial statements. So that's going to be your balance sheet, your income statement, your cash flow, to give you a feel for how those things have changed. And then behind that's your notes to the financial statements. So that's going to give you a lot of language and detail pertaining to those numbers in the financial statements and help you get a little insight of what the details are behind that and what those consist of. And behind that is going to be your budget to actual, which overall has a positive budget variance for the year, looking at your actual numbers versus your budgeted numbers. And then behind that's all the TSI compliance requirements that are necessary for TCEQ. But everything appears to be in good shape, and just want to be able to give you an opportunity to ask any questions you might have at this point and just update you on the status as of today.
Okay, thank you. So this packet is pretty thick. And I know you still are cleaning up some of the last minute stuff, information that you're receiving from other parties. So at this time, we're going to take no action on this agenda. We are going to come back to this when you give us more information to work off of, and then we're going to digest what you gave us today.
Perfect.
So-
And as you read through, I know there's a lot in there. If there's anything that you have questions on, I've given you my contact information. Please reach out. Don't hesitate to ask me, phone call, email. Happy to answer any questions that come up.
Will do.
And then Philip, you'll, excuse me, Philip, you'll get us one way or the other, the final version to take a look at before whatever meeting where we have to approve this.
Yes, once staff receives it from the auditor, it will be forwarded to the board of directors.
Thank you.
I would ask too, if you will, that final needs to be produced as a hard copy. Because I have limited printing capability. I don't want to print out 40 pages on my lousy little printer.
Staff can get that too.
We also, we will print and bind the physical reports that are finalized as well. So we'll have those available to you when the final is presented. The electronic will be sent as soon as available, but the physical copy we'll have for you.
Sometimes just paging through a physical copy is a whole lot easier than trying to jump back and forth in a PDF.
Right. Absolutely.
Thank you. That's all we got for right now.
Thank you so much.
Okay, agenda item G, consider resolution 2024-01A, approving the water conservation and drought contingency plan to be submitted to TCEQ and take action as necessary. Gary Montgomery.
Good morning. Several months ago, the board approved the resolution for the water conservation and drought contingency plan. It was turned in, the earliest TCEQ will accept those is the first of the year. We turned it in on January 2nd, since the first was a holiday. Received a couple of comments basically on the wholesale part of the water conservation plan. You have one wholesale customer, that's New Braunfels Utilities. This language is directly provided by TCEQ. I inserted it into the water conservation plan and drought contingency plan, highlighted it and sent it back to TCEQ. They've approved it, so we make a recommendation to approve, and then we'll get that resolution and the current water conservation plan resubmitted to TCEQ, but they've already approved it with the language as highlighted.
In the public meeting we had some months ago covers the
Yes.
requirement here.
Yeah, the only requirement that we have to notify MBU, but we'll just send them the whole document and say, here's the new water conservation plan. It really doesn't affect them. We didn't change any really of the triggers or anything. So we just have to notify them directly since it does affect them.
And if they had any comment at all, we'd say this is the language provided by
Correct.
TCQ, which was added,
Correct.
so.
That's the only change.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the water conservation and drought contingency plan as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Cooper. I have a second by Mr. Sherman. All in favor?
I
Any opposed? Nope. Ayes have it. Unanimous. Moving on to agenda item H, consider the deposition and declare unit 111, 2019-567 Peterbilt pump and haul trucks as surplus property in accordance with Texas Local Government Code, section 263.152, and take action as necessary. Mr. Phillip.
I'll speak on this for a minute. This was the original pump truck that we had or have. Since we have finished the wastewater collection system, right now staff believes that we can manage with just one singular truck. And so we're asking permission to declare the 2019 as a surplus and put it up for auction and get some funds back for it.
Thank you.
You anticipate any number that you're looking for?
I can tell you what we paid for it, but no, it's, I've looked at a few websites of govdeals.com is one that I used at a previous job. That's kind of a specialty vehicle. So
Right.
if we're only going to get pennies for it, then we'll hold on to it. But I'd like to see
How
what
many years have we had it? About 2?
we bought it in October of 2020.
Okay.
So we've gotten a little over 3 years use out of it.
Is there any possibility of repurposing that truck?
I don't want to say outright no, because I don't know. What I think the best bet would be to put those funds away and get by with our singular pump truck now and look at getting I call it a Vactor, but basically a large vacuum truck, which is a higher ticket item, something in the future that has enough pumping capacity to pull from deeper wells, as well as we could use it as cleaning our sewer lines. It's a more expensive item, but it's more of I'm sorry, I may be using an industry term here and I may be using it incorrectly, but basically a combo unit that does the purpose of a pump truck as well as cleaning lines.
And this is this vehicle right here is pretty much not being used. It's sitting there. We haven't used it in a while. We're only using that other main one.
It's been used, but only to kind of keep things fresh on it. As you do with equipment, you don't want to keep it sitting. But staff believes that we can get by with just the newer unit.
Awesome.
Can we sell it with the Christmas lights on it?
No, Rudolph. is
No,
not going
unfortunately,
for
we're
that.
keeping the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Save it for the parades.
All right.
I'd
so-
I'd like to make a motion to dispose as surplus unit number 111, the 2019 567 Peterbilt pump and all truck.
I'll
Okay.
second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cooper and a second by Mr. King. All in favor? Any
I'll
opposed?
abstain.
One abstain. Mr. Sherman is abstaining, so 6-0, 1 abstain. Okay, moving on to item I, GVSUD Development Report for Capital Improvement, Construction Projects, and Proposed New Developments. Gabe Cantu.
Morning, Board. We have provided a report that's in front of you here that's kind of just summarizes the status of Green Valley projects in totality, whether it's an operation project, capital project, or development project. You'll see on the bar graph on the far right, the totals. Blues last year, December of 2022, the project totals were 92. December of 2023 is 83. A bulk of that is development. And even though it goes from 92 to 83, that is really not indicative of the actual activity. It's held steady. Translated to it's very busy. 83 projects in one stage of another of design, construction, or closeout. That does not include, so for instance, when a development is approved into contract, they may have locked in 1,000 units worth of service. This report doesn't include that total 1,000 units of service. You'll see there in that first sentence of the second paragraph, it says 1,534 EDUs worth of infrastructure was installed last year. But the bar graph itself of those 83 projects for 2023 actually reflect 5,312 EDUs worth of service that's in design, construction, or closeout. And the reason why I was mentioning the development is because that 5,312 or those 83 projects does not include, say, craft development is 1,000 units, as an example. We're not including all 1,000 units in that 5,312 number. It's only unit one, perhaps, that's in one stage of another of design, construction, et cetera. The other 900 units worth of service are still in contract. They just haven't entered into that phase of plan design for approval to go into construction. Does that make sense? It can be confusing. So with that 5,300, those 83 projects, which you can interpret as 5,300 EDUs, 20% of that's actually being approved for the year as an installed meters revenue. And then the other 4,000, it doesn't get reduced to the 4,000 number at that point, another 1,000 moved in. So the cycle's just continuing, and contracts are continually getting approved and adding more into the queue for projects. And we can go into further detail at a later time, but in my opinion, we probably have 10 to 15 years worth of this activity minus a major market, issue happening. I see 10 to 15 years just with current contracts and work activity of work continuing at this pace. Philip and I talked the other day in relation to meter installations revenue. That's a 4.6 growth rate So we installed 805 meters. You see on your operations report there. That's a 4.6 growth rate. That's 3 meters a day. I'm sorry? 4.6 increase annually of meter installations. If you think of a meter being a meter box, we actually installed 1,534 meter boxes, but only 805 of those got filled with a meter. Again, that translates, the 1,534 is actually accepted infrastructure for service. And so that is an actual 8.3% growth rate. So, take the numbers as you will. We can go at a later date heavier into more details as you would like. I'm always available. The next sheet shows the planned CIP projects, which often have zero infrastructure installed as it concerns new meters. Okay, this is basically just expenses for improving infrastructure or adding infrastructure into the system. And so you see 15 projects there on that second page that's planned for this year on CIP. And we are currently planning with Gary into the updated master plan into the next 5 years.
So we should be seeing the master plan when?
I'm hoping for the
Gary,
spring.
Gary was saying, from the audience, about 3 weeks out. Is that correct, Gary? To get it to staff?
For the staff review report, and then we have to work through comments and all of that. So once that's done, it'll come to the board.
Yeah, our goal at Green Valley is to have that to you by, March or April, a new updated accurate master plan.
And then I'm going to ask you repeat your discussion on, because I flipped over to the water availability chart, because that exact
Yes.
thing about what are we experiencing actual growth versus our estimate, lines on here. So we're getting 4.6% growth rate of actually placing meters inside
Yes.
in the ground to be used. And then you said we place the boxes, but no meter in them at a rate of 8%.
So, yes. So,
And then they're there in the future when we need to fill those meters in.
so the 1,500 meter boxes we put in, 800 of them had meters put in. The delta is because you got empty lots there that haven't gone vertical.
Right.
So the,
I'd like to just touch on that. So it's a pretty strong assumption to assume that we'll at least have the remainder of 700, that we'll have a minimum 700 set this year.
oh, so the empty boxes will be filled this year, we believe?
Right. It's just we're at the point of construction where they haven't requested the meter yet. So basically our staff has gone there, placed the meter box, and then, there's different triggers to when the developer or the builder requests the meter. So it's just at the point when the snapshot, when Gabe has this data, they haven't reached that point yet, but it's
Visually
pretty strong that
speaking,
it's going to
when you
happen.
drive in that developed neighborhood where half the homes are built up and the other half are empty lots, those empty lots have meter boxes with no meter in it. So they could get built this year, they could get built in 5 years, that empty lot. But at the same time, we're approving new development, which is probably going to build at a faster rate as that other emptier development, which is the delta ultimately winds up as 4.6% of our total. We got 1,734 meters, I believe, in the system right now. 25% of that has sewer. So, we're going to continue. I don't see us slowing down. I don't see a slow down in the market here in this region for us at that 4.6% growth rate.
Question real quick, because to refresh my memory on item 15, exactly where is that and who is involved in partnership?
Item
I don't-
15.
I remember a lot of these, but I don't remember that one.
You're talking about City of New Braunfels Zip Road Joint Project?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, C and B. All right, got it.
yes, sir. You're asking what is that?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just refreshed my memory. I couldn't remember what it was.
So,
That concerning the sports park?
no, that is concerning, the Zip Road extension.
Ah.
in between FM 725 and FM 1044. If you're familiar with that area, Zip was just an old little 2-lane road and they're expanding it and improving it. And so there's a crossing that the city's doing where it crosses our water main with a new roadway improvement crossing. And so they got to lower our water main and they're going to do that for us, but we got to provide inspection services, a little mini plan review. So it's a capital project. We're not putting money out for it other than manpower of a plan review. Maybe I need to consult with one of our engineers. Usually these little ones I don't, or we don't, I should say. But there's manpower put forth into a project and improvement of infrastructure. It's only 100 feet of main that's getting lowered and encased. And
Just a couple of questions on the projects. Item 11 and 12, this has been an ongoing problem with the final location of that pump facility. What's the holdup?
The holdup is the easement for the booster pump station, which is the takeoff point for the actual reclaimed water. It's where we're intercepting the GBRA raw water. And so we need to build a booster pump station facility to take that water. And we're having trouble locking in the easement for the actual facility acreage. I believe
Because of the land-
Jason
because
probably
of the
could give you a better update on that.
That part of your update, Jason?
I can
Okay.
give you my update if you want.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. I just know that's been an ongoing challenge, determining the location of that building. And the second one, and this may not be a question you can answer, the Tolly Road, City of Cibolo CIP, they're finally gonna dig that up, it looks like, get that started. What about the offshoots? Are you including, or is there any work on the feeder roads on Tolly
Not
Road?
that I'm aware of at this time. It's all Tolly Road. We've received a plan set from Cibolo's engineer to review in regards to the Tolly Road improvements. So the Tolly Road improvement you're talking about, is this for the actual full depth reconstruction and widening of Tolly Road? Or are you
I
talking?
assume that's what this is.
So this one is for the full depth reconstruction. And that's gonna require, they're gonna require a dedication, and we're gonna require obviously easement, rededications and relocations. And so it's a pretty expensive project just from one end to the other there. It does do where Tolly Road on the southern end where it kicks to Country Lane. For about 300 foot of that is included into this project for City of Cibolo and carries over into us having to have them relocate the water main for us. We've done early design reviews for this plan set regarding the water infrastructure. And so we've given them all those comments, but that's all we've done to this point. We haven't heard anything from the City of Cibolo as far as contribution or anything like that. And the construction or and the funding of that project of theirs. I have heard that could be coming.
The concern I have is the Cibolo Tolly Road, one of the offshoots. We've had several citizens comment about lack of fire flow up
Yes,
that
sir.
road. And I know we're waiting on the full road construction to be able to complete all of the fire flow for that area. Is the city of Cibolo, or are we including fire hydrants up that road, since it
We
is
are.
a gravel road?
We are including, well, the offshoots, we're not including one at every offshoot. But we are aware of some of the inquiries we've had for fire flows as the fire marshal's been driving around and kind of putting their fingerprint on the requirements of some of these facilities on that road. And so we're aware of that. And so we are putting fire hydrants in them locations. We do actually have plenty of flow on that road. We have a 12-inch water main there. And the concern specifically with Cibolo Tolly Road has already been addressed, and that's no longer an issue. We've put upgraded fire hydrants over there that have sufficient flow and shared that information with the Cibolo Fire Marshal.
I think, Steve, you're referring to down Country Lane towards the railroad. Is that?
No, Cibolo Tolly Road is
It's an offshoot.
very early, did not have a
Oh,
fire.
yeah. I'm with you.
And there was a concern by certain citizens that there was not fire flow up that road. And talking in the past, one of the concerns was there wasn't any sense building infrastructure until the road project was complete. So I just want to make sure that the road project includes all of the extra fire fire suppression flow that's needed up in all of that area.
And
All of the area and other areas as well that have dense, SFR already established. And so that's part of our master plan. We've identified those areas and I put them on the map to be placed on the master plan for infrastructure upgrading. I mean, you could go to McQueenie and we can also have that discussion as well. That whole Treasure Island area off of Terminal Loop Road. I mean, we need fire flow over there, you know, so we need to upgrade our water mains. And so we're gonna add that on the master plan as well. And we are working with Cibolo and we're trying to work with all the entities. I mean, I think we got 13 entities we have to work with, different fire marshals, if you will, and service areas. And so like with Cibolo specifically, we've had meetings with Chief Tronsko and the fire marshals discussing their concerns with certain areas, and we immediately do address them.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for the report. Does anybody else have any comments, concerns about what's presented?
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Okay, moving to item J, engineer's report from Tri-Hydro Corporation for construction project and proposed new developments. Jason Verland.
Yes, good morning. I'll just real quick touch on what Mr. Cooper had asked regarding the New Braunfels Sports Park and just kind of the status of it. You know, we had to basically restart all of the easement negotiations, everything else, and discussions with you know, the property owners. And we did have some difficulties with where we had identified. You know, since then, we've made some pretty good progress, and I'm hoping within the next several weeks that we have a resolution to the issue of the location and have an actual easement in place.
And Jason, I had one item circled on your report, the funding source. We've got developer contributions and bonds. The and bonds portion was not my understanding.
Yes, sir. So, and, you know, basically a little bit of background on how that developed. It was, you know, when we initially started this project, we were unsure exactly what the, you know, ratio would be as far as, you know, the contribution of, you know, the city versus Green Valley, all that. And that's why it was put on the bond packet. You know, since then, the agreement was developed and, you know, all the, you know, basically the construction costs are put entirely on the city. So we do have the contributions that will be paid by the city, but it is still on the, you know, on the bond paperwork. So the question is what, you know, how you want to pay for it is you have some flexibility.
The easements that we're discussing now, are they covered under the city's contribution?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
So the design is covered by the city's contribution?
Yes, sir. It's 100%. Yeah.
I'm trying to reach in my mind and figure out what other costs besides operational costs that would need to be paid out of the bond or a bond. If the
Yeah, as
city's contribution covers
Yeah.
construction, design, easement, am I missing anything else to?
No, and as long as we don't, you know, as long as it comes in it was expected to be bid out there, you know, there's no issue. Even then, I think there's some clauses in the contract as well. So, yeah, it's open. And just, you know, brief, you know, regarding that, there was, you know, an inquiry possibly into, you know, whether we have excess capacity for the reclaimed water. We haven't directly addressed that, but that could possibly come up, you know, depending on how these easement negotiations, you know, continue.
Yeah, because there's other people that's interested up there in the reuse water.
There are definitely some areas and, you know, green space requirements and things like that. There is possibility of that. Any other questions? Good. All right. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you, Jason. All right, item K, engineer's report from UEG for construction projects and proposed new developments. Gary Montgomery.
Thanks. Just a couple of updates from the memo from last week on Santa Clara, the phase 2 sewer line. I received email from Texas Water Development Board on Monday that they're routing for signature for release of retainage. So we've met all the requirements on closeout of phase 2 sewer. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, those funds are deposited and the contractor can be paid retainage and we move on and close that project out. A few minutes ago, the master plan was brought up. We are actively working on that. We've had meetings every other week with staff and those are going well. We're getting close to getting the final project list and working on prioritizing those projects. Much more in-depth master plan than the previous version. We're showing quite a few more graphs and data as far as how the district moves forward and, 5, 10, and 20 years out. So look forward to finishing that up and getting it submitted to staff for review and then addressing comments and bringing that to the board. Other than that, I don't have anything to add if there's any questions.
How's the emergency repair? I see you had a pre-construction meeting.
Yes.
When does that start work and what's the duration we get
Yeah,
that?
we're
taken care of?
waiting on, they're supposed to send me submittals either today or tomorrow. Everything should be good there. We had the pre-con. Obviously the rain's not helping us down in a low, so dewatering is at its worst at this point. But they haven't mobilized yet, but they have survey files. They're getting it staked and should be a pretty quick in and out once they get it dewatered and be able to deliver materials there. I did provide updates or just a courtesy email to the city of Schertz and the city of Garden Ridge in case they get questions from residents of what's going on over there. Got responses back from both and they both appreciate the notice. So I think we're on top of it there.
Any other questions?
Thanks.
And you're tracking, sorry, I'm not sure if it was you or Jason that's tracking the Lower Seguin Road and Bolton Road reconstruction as well for Cibolo.
Yes.
The roads, obviously.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's been an active discussion with staff also because of the expansions that need to go on in those areas.
I know we got water lines that are very close to that road.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're gonna take a 10-minute pause for cause and time is 10:56. We're gonna go to take a break and then we'll come back at say 11:05, 11:06. All right, time now is 11:06, coming back into open session. Going to agenda item L, consider non-standard water and wastewater service agreements and take action as necessary. L1, Next Metro Communities, also known as Avila Homestead Water, located at 2800 FM 725. L1. Philip, Gary, sorry.
Philip asked me to brief you on these. The Villa Homestead tract is a master meter connection. They're going to put in some, it's basically going to be kind of a condo type development, smaller homes. 289 multifamily EDUs. There are some offsite improvements that they need to do. They're going to bore FM 725 and then it ties into the TxDOT project that Jason and Tri-Hydro is working on. But pretty straightforward. Went through a couple of different studies with them. They've changed land plans a couple of times, but we make our recommendation is to approve the study. Everything's in order and they've approved the on their side. So I think they're ready to go.
Nothing significant out of the norm that we normally go through.
So, Gary, on the section 2, the fire flows, that's always my most important section. I don't know if we haven't done one of these in a while, but it seems that we've changed this up a little bit. We referenced that the developer or its successor, including a homeowners association, shall be obligated to pay for modifications, et cetera, et cetera. Is that stating that it's a MUD?
I don't believe, I don't know that, I don't think this is a MUD. I haven't heard that.
Section 2 under the fire flow? What's in my packet under L1?
I don't believe this is a MUD. I haven't seen that anyway.
I'm just asking because I continue to have reservations about MUDs and potential liabilities down the road.
This is a private development. It's master metered. So that's perhaps why we have that comment worded that way.
Okay. Fire flow is there. It doesn't appear to be a mud, so that answers my questions.
Anybody else have any questions, concerns?
One of the main reasons that that one's a little bit different is the master meter. We don't have any obligation past that meter, so we want to make sure that they do what they need to do fire flow wise past that meter to meet the city's requirements.
And that meter is going to be located at the 725 side?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
It's in private property in an easement, but
Mhm.
on their property.
All right,
outside
and
of
it's
the right-of-way.
going to be looped in a way where you're getting not one tank of source, but two tanks.
Right, yeah, this area is served by Plant 4 and Plant 12.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the non-standard wastewater service agreement with Next Metro Communities, AKA Avila Homestead.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cooper, a second by Mr. Sherman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to L2. WBWTW and Estates LLC, also known as W Land Greer Tract, Water 1500 West Klein Road.
Similar situation here, master plan community in the city of New Braunfels, off of Klein Road, 1044 area across the road from the sports park, and pretty close to like Lennar Hilltop Estates, that general area. Similar situation to the Villa Homestead tract, master metered 278 EDUs. There's an existing 16-inch line that they'll tap into for their feed, and then there's 16 on Klein Road also. The 16 is actually in an easement on their property, so they don't have any offsites that they need to build. So we make a recommendation to approve that one as presented.
And my same question, the language under the fire flow is here. So this is because it's a mastered metered community
Right.
but it's not a mud as far as we're.
That's
aware.
correct,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the non-standard water agreement for WBWT West End Estates LLC, also known as Westland Greer Tract.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion approved. Okay, moving on to number L3, TCTG Holdings, also known as 210 Communities, Hild Subdivision, Water, 1400 Wild Road.
This one is across the road from the Plan 11 pump station on Wild Road. It's in city of Cibolo, ETJ. This will be a duplex development, so there's 67 lots, but 134 services, so 2 services per lot for the duplex. And 2.5 irrigation EDUs. There's going to be some park and entrance space there. Pretty straightforward. There is an older 8-inch line within the property that needs to be, it will be abandoned. Basically, we're taking it through the development. As development occurs, they'll move that, and it's in their contract to do that. The other is the 24-inch fill line going to Plan 11, runs through the center of this tract. It's in easement. They're well aware of that they can't tap into it. It's a transmission only fill line to Plan 11. So that's all been communicated to them, and they're aware of that. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward, and we recommend approval.
Okay, anybody have any?
So I have two questions. So my same question as the other two, the way the language is written, which is new to my eyes. So it's not a mud and
No.
they have the fire flow. Okay.
Yes,
Perfect. The transmission line, do we defend the easement in any kind of way to where we don't end up with backyards on top of a 24-inch?
Yes, we've communicated that to them. It's actually running mid-block, so they're going to put in green space, a green space lot through that.
And then we
that section.
keep an eye on trees and landscaping,
Right.
whatnot to be installed on top of it.
Right.
Okay.
What makes it difficult is drainage, depending on, they actually are putting in 2 detention ponds to keep from having to cross the line with drainage. They're putting one in each southern corner.
So that they wouldn't remove cover from the
Right,
pipeline?
correct.
Perfect.
at plan and plat review, we pay particular attention to that, and we will not approve anything with anything being built over that line.
Thank you. Okay, so do I have a motion on L3?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the non-standard water agreement for TCTG Holdings, also known as 210 Communities Hill Subdivision, 1400 Wild Road.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Cooper, a second by Mr. Sherman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope, unanimous. Moving on to L4, TCTG Holdings, also known as 210 Communities Hill Subdivision Wastewater, 1400 Wild Road.
Same track, just the sewer. They do have to have a small lift station to get over to the gravity main that runs to the east of this tract. There's one track in between this development and the sewer line. Acquiring that easement is on them using Green Valley's documents, so it'll be the same easement, but they're going to the expense. I think they've actually contacted that property owner and they're working through easement acquisition now. And kind of starting that conversation, but there will be a lift station. It will be privately maintained. That was something with staff that we went through, whether that would be accepted by Green Valley or left to them to own and maintain. And that was the direction that we were given. So we make the recommendation. This will be served by the Santa Clara sewer shed, so they'll be paying the new kayak fee that was just approved a couple months ago. I think that's all I have on that one. Recommend to approve it.
So one question on, under item 1, developers shall be solely responsible for the cost associated with Green Valley obtaining approval from the Public Utility Commission to expand the wastewater CCN number 20973 to include the property.
Yes.
So is it in a gray area where it's unclaimed, or are we?
It's unclaimed. There's about half of it or a little more, probably 60% of the track is in Green Valley Sewer CCN. The rest is out, but it's in no one else's.
The only thing I want to make sure is that we're not trying to remove it from a different CCN.
No, there's no CCN there. Correct.
And you're good with it?
Carrie, about how many EDUs are there?
134.
Thank you.
Yes.
And Shan has blessed off on it on his end. So, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the wastewater service agreement for TCTG Holdings, also known as 210 Communities Hill Subdivision Wastewater, 1400 Wild Road.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cooper, a second by Mr. Sherman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion approved. All right, thank you very much for L. Moving on to M, hear updates on items below from Green Valley General Counsel and take action as necessary. Mr. Shan Rutherford.
I don't have any updates under item M for y'all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to go into executive session, closed session in accordance with Texas Local Government Code section, or Texas Government Code section 551.071 551.074 and or 551.076 on matters of which the attorney has a duty to report under Texas rules and disciplinary conduct. We're going to take items O, which is discuss executive committee meeting regarding personnel held on January 9th, 2024 and January 12th, 2024. Texas Government Code, section 551.074. Items P, discuss personnel matters and take action as necessary. Texas Government Code 551.074. Item Q, consider wastewater financing and take action as necessary. Texas Government Code 551.071, Gary Montgomery and Shan. And item number S, consider landowner request for release of approximately 3 acres of GVSUD wastewater CCN through negotiated CCN transfer agreement between Green Valley SUD, C, Store Seguin, and City of Seguin, take action necessary. Section Texas Government Code 551.071, Shan. At this time is 11:17, going to executive session.
Do it that time.
Awesome. All right, time is 12:59. We're going back into open session. Out of executive session, we have action to be taken on items S. And that's the only item that we need to take action on. Do I have any motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for release of approximately 3 acres of GVSUD wastewater CCN through negotiated CCN transfer agreement between GVSUD, C-Store Seguin, and City of Seguin.
Second.
And then I'd like to make a condition that we will be using our standard $2,000 per acre calculations and any transfer fees associated with the CCN transfer as well. Is that acceptable?
So changed?
All right, so I have a motion by Mr. Cooper. Do I have a second?
Second.
Sherry, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Mr. Sherman and Mr. King had to leave, so they are absent from the vote. So. Okay, post-executive session stuff, we already did that. That's item number T. Going to U is consideration for proposed items to be included next month's board meeting agenda. Do we have any from?
Mr. Frias?
Yes, sir.
Where are we on putting out an RFQ for another lobbyist? We talked about that, put something out, see what kind of responses we get, because with all the state money coming out,
Right.
we need to have
So-
somebody at the legislature.
I know Nick asked for that. I think due to the time and all the other issues going on, that's not a real hot issue that we need to deal with at this moment, but I know Philip has an RFQ he's trying to wrap up. Depending on how the workload is for February, we could probably throw that on there, but
Yeah, state's gonna begin acting on that stuff, because there's a big pot of rural water that the legislature made available.
all right, anybody else? No, okay, at this.
Motion to
time,
adjourn?
V, motion
Second.
to adjourn, Mr. Cooper, second by Mr. Robertson. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? No? Got it. All right. Thank you. Time is 1:01.